So the news environment obviously is a little tricky right now. There's a lot going on, and as a result, I think as a brand, you need a very clear and concise message to make sure that what you're portraying your brand to be, what the attributes are, what the value of that brand is, to be very clear. I think that is what the consumer is looking for as they go into the space of news and information. They want clear, concise information. I really think it matters, the fact checking. They really pay attention now more and more. It's over 60%. We've done a lot of research inside at Omnicom that more than 60% of the consumers that we polled are paying more attention to where they get their news from, the credibility of that news organization, the fact-checking that's done, and it's less about how broad it is, do I agree with them? There's a lot more that's going into. So from a brand perspective, make sure that you are also telling a very true and reliable account of who you are and make the message simple for the consumer.
How do you see the appetite for advertising the news changing in terms of brand categories?
I think that, you think about what CNN is doing around Great Big Story and Courageous. So I do think that as the hard news sometimes is just hard to watch, and whether it's the political environment or it's just everything that we're seeing every single day and being bombarded with. News is such a much broader category in terms of just great storytelling about things that you would not have, the ability to learn something new, the ability to get a story that you knew nothing about the topic. That's normally, and that I think has a lot to do with what a news consumer is looking for. Not just the news of the day and the political agenda, not that they're not looking at all those things, but they're also really wanting to learn more. They have a voracious appetite to get out there, see the world that they can't actually maybe physically go see, understand stories about a different part of the world or a different lens that they hadn't seen before. So I think as news organizations are branching out into that, there's equally, I think the political environment that we live in, without the pink elephant in the room that we are all struggling with day in and day out, regardless of what side you sit on. I do think that the more news organizations are able to also tell great stories beyond just those headlines, you are seeing tremendous appetite for health and fitness and travel, food and music, and when you and sports, and when you broaden that out to information and news that people are looking for, I think the more that you can go out and also make sure you're touching on those categories and not just the bifurcating political news that hits us every single day. Not that you don't need that, but I think the peppering of everything else is where I think we're finding a lot of that consumer growth and desire. It's where the digital, I think, is really playing, and our social has really risen up, and that's where you're seeing a much younger application. I mean, 80% of all millennials are getting their news and information from their apps and from social media. So that alone is telling you what's out there, and it's not just about politics and not just about the current affairs. It is about all those other things I just mentioned.